So I've done one example in StatCrunch and another on the TI-84. So I'm going to go back to StatCrunch for this because the data comes in pre-populated. We want the equation of the least squares regression line. Stat, regression, simple linear. And they're already telling us what X and Y are. Compute that. And here's our equation. We're supposed to round to 3 places. For some reason, the StatCrunch is putting MX last and B, the y-coordinate of the y-intercept, first. Now that 7 is going to round that up. So a slope of negative 0.076. And a y-intercept, rounding that to 3 places as well. That's going to round up. And it's good. So interpret the slope and y-intercept. That's telling us that negative slope is telling us that as we look left to right, things are decreasing. More specifically, since X was the commute time, for each 1 minute of commute time, then you're going to see a decrease in well-being of 0.076. Then the y-intercept, that's talking about an x-coordinate of 0. And none of our data had an x-coordinate of 0. So this falls out of the scope of the model. Plus, you're not even talking about commute time in that case. You want to avoid extrapolation. Use a value of x that is between the lowest x value in your data and the highest. Well, that's strange. It's not a lot smaller, so they are letting us go a little bit outside, apparently. If you have a commute time of 0, 69.071 for the well-being. A lot of the examples I've seen in this textbook, they would not let us go even a little bit outside, but strangely, this one's a little outside and it's letting it go by. Pick the well-being index of a person whose commute time is 25. Okay, so what was our equation? Sorry about that. Got all these windows open. All right. So let's put in 25 for X. We've got negative 0.076 times 25. And we needed to add to that the 69.071. So 69.071. For some reason, the 9 didn't take, even though I pressed it. It's a negative, not a minus. $67.171 for a well-being index. Round to 1 decimal place. There's a 7 after the 10th place, so that's going to round up to 67.2. Suppose she has a 20-minute commute and scores 66.8 on the survey. The 20-minute commute, that's what would be predicted. 66.8 is lower. So she is less well off because a typical individual on average would be scoring the 67.551. We would have a negative residual in that case, and her point versus the point on the graph of the least squares regression line would be below it. So 551. Working on the assumption that a higher score means a better well-being. 67.551. 20-minute commute. Well, see what they say. Round to one decimal place. It was stated here instead of down here. So it's not that I did anything wrong before that. I just didn't see that instruction because that was not written right next to it. Okay. So I think that's it for this one. Yes.